Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB, the Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
We're live?
T-Bone. We are live.
All right, JJ.
All right. I'm Jason Jones with the City Salt, the Review of Anything. We're recording from the Lion Blues Observatory in Roanoke today. We're interviewing Foster Burton, singer and guitar player for the Mad Iguanas, Goat, and Dead Reckoning, among other bands. And today's interview is done in conjunction with T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show on Radio Free Roanoke, WROE 95.7 FM. And we have Tim Woodrum and HB from the show with us today.
Hey, JJ,
Hello.
Thanks for having us. Hey, Foster.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
For
man.
being here.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
So Foster, I want to talk about your original band, Mad Iguanas. I know you just released an album, and you've been, I think that's your first band. When did Mad Iguanas start?
In 2009, I had played my first gig in 2008 at All Sports in Salem, Virginia. And then it was a good turnout only because, like, my school teachers came, my uncles and aunts came, and, like, I was not very good at guitar, and I think I had to maybe even repeat some songs, I don't know, but it was not very good, but it brought people out. I was able to book from that, and then they booked me at a festival in between two bands, and I was like, man, I'm not doing that.
How old were you at that time?
Let's see, in 2008, I would have been 23.
Okay.
Yeah, 23.
Was that your first paid performance?
Yeah, I didn't get paid at my first one. They wouldn't pay me.
You remember what it was?
What, the first
They just-
performance?
Was that it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they didn't pay me.
You were so good they couldn't pay you.
Yeah, right. The deal was, like, they gave me the opportunity. It was also the anniversary of Jerry Garcia's death in 2008, so I advertised it as that to try to get people to come out. But that was my first gig, and I didn't get any money for it, but it, like, really lit a fire. That, you know, the difference between, like, playing at a campfire, you know, compared to, like, actually people coming to see you play at a place, that feeling was like, wow, that's cool. Even though I've listened, my buddy's got it recorded, and it's terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. But it did light a fire. But leading into that, the Happiness and Harmony Festival, which I know you attended, Corey asked me to play that slot, and luckily my younger brother, by 2.5 years, played guitar, and now he's a professionally trained musician. And our mutual high school friend, Charlie Wimmer, who was a drummer and still a drummer, still a damn good one. I asked those guys if we could get a half dozen or so rehearsals to help me get through that festival slot.
How did you and Daniel get started playing? Because you weren't in school band or anything.
No, but we weren't in school band. I played football, unfortunately, which was really dumb. I wish I'd have been in band. But we have very naturally talented family in the Burton side of the family. We have like some sort of like millionaires club or some, I don't even know what it is. Like they make a lot of money. What is selling Christian records and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So my dad was in choir. All my family sings. It's natural ability. It's that, and we always had that. Always just like to sing and stuff. But my Aunt Billy, when she was moving, we're moving from Orange, Virginia, I believe, to Richmond, and she had an old beater guitar and gave it to me when I was 12. And Daniel and I, my brother, would sit and just kind of play stuff and not very good at it. And then my Uncle Jerry taught me how to play a Grateful Dead lick that same year. And then I pretty much just pecked at it until I didn't really take it seriously until about the time of like starting to play out. Like I was a cowboy chord, 3 chords, and a cloud of dust kind of dude. And playing very bad versions of songs because I couldn't read music. It was just kind of like my interpretation of
Your version.
Yeah, my version of it. They weren't really technically right, which most of them still aren't probably. But yeah, I was around 12 years old getting into it with Daniel, and then we both had a guitar laying around from that point forward.
All right.
Very good. Tell me how you named the band Mad Iguanas. I remember it came from a song, right?
Yeah. So one of the first times, I guess we can talk about marijuana because it's legal, right?
Absolutely.
What is that?
What is that? It's the Mexican word for pot. I was riding home with a friend of mine, Jared Pendleton, and I guess it was my freshman year, and I hadn't really smoked before, and I smoked out this big Grateful Dead Bear bong thing that he had, and the Peter Tosh Legalize It song came on. And I was just, when you hear something like that and being high for the first time, it's a really euphoric moment. Like, you're like, wow, it kind of hits different. But then as the song fades out in the studio version, you hear them saying marijuana, and it's broken out, it fades out, and he's got that really harsh Jamaican accent. And it sounds like Matt Iguana at one of the last fade out tracks. And it hit me in that Chevy Blazer. I was like, that is a killer band name. And then when we all got together, you know, when you're in a band, it's like being on a football team or like having 3 other girlfriends. There's a lot of other egos and stuff. So to pick a band name is kind of tough. Yeah. When you got a bunch of meathead dudes trying to pick it. So I'd had that in the back of my brain for years, and we could not decide on one. It was game time for the festival, and we just went with it. And then it just comes with its own artwork. It just kind of made sense. And then once my mom found out that was the name of it, so I don't think she wears her shirts anymore. She didn't.
Oh.
She was like, I sent my kids to school in them shirts. Sorry, Mom. But yeah, it was. That's where it came from. Was that, and then a lot of people it slid underneath the. Yeah, people didn't get it at first.
Yeah,
and it got. But now I think most people understand that's what it is. And now that it's legal, you can. Matter at all now.
Right. Yeah.
So the band's been around since 2009, and you just released the first professional album recently, right?
Yep, with Marshall Hicks.
Just in May. Marshall engineered.
Yep. He's the wizard. Yeah, he did all the work. It was a long drawn out process. It was like I think 2 years in the making, and a lot of that was my fault. Well, and the pandemic hit too in the middle of it. I had a traumatic event happen, and I also was a half-gallon a day drinker during it. So, which I've kicked that habit almost 2 years in a couple weeks. But when I started that album, I was a severe alcoholic, and nothing, even breakfast, went out without a shot or 2 or 5 or 6. So, you can definitely hear that in some of my playing in that. But I'm real proud of the album. Like, it's really good. It was nice to finally. The Mad Iguanas, I counted it recently. We have 30 original songs, and we just did our first album.
How did you pick the songs? Because there's 8 tracks on it.
Yeah.
You had 30 to pick from, and like you said, you got other people in the band who have a say.
Yeah, right. Well, and some of them, when I say 30, some of them are kind of like dinosaurs that don't really get played anymore. But really, we just, the heavy hitters from our live performances, which we have relied upon in our almost 15-year existence, is playing, live shows. So, the ones that we saw the most reaction on, and then there's other ones like the song "Lost" was about our mutual friend Curly dying. That made it on the album simply because I love that man and still do this day and miss him all the time. And that meant a lot for me to put something on that album that was for Curly.
Absolutely.
So that's what made the cut, the sentimental part, but also the songs that we knew. What's really cool about the Mad Iguanas is that we've been playing so long around here that you go out to one of our shows and a lot of people know the words to all of our songs.
Absolutely.
And it's not from hearing it on the radio. It's not from hearing it on the CD. It's from going to our shows for the last.
I think Center's a classic song around here. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows Center. Yeah. So like it's nice to have that, and it was a good head start on the album because everybody knew the material.
Absolutely.
It wasn't anything new on there, but I'm real proud of it. We put I had to come back and revisit it once I sobered up, and there were a few things, like I was really upset with some stuff. I was just like, my Lord, well, how did I let this slide? But when you have the mask of alcoholism, you can let anything let it slide. But when I heard it, I really demanded that at least let me finish these parts again. And I went back in and nailed them on first tries, a lot of them. Marshall let me come back in, and you can hear the clarity on some of it. Like Minnesota, are one of our more popular songs. Like when I heard that track and we were getting ready to master it, it was nails on a chalkboard because my performance was not good. And I begged Marshall, I said, please let me redo it. And I did. I went in there and did it one take, and it just made the whole song hit a little harder and a little better just because I had the clarity and was able to hit the parts better.
What was the inspiration for Minnesota?
Minnesota. Well, I'm a carpenter by trade, so my best friend in the world, which Rojo.
Absolutely.
Adam, he's just a wild one, and he's settled down over the years a little bit, but he, in his womanizer days, had fallen in love with this girl, what we thought was love, and in love with this girl when he was 18 or 19 years old. And we were in the work truck one day, and he's telling me that he's moving to Minnesota to be with this girl, the love of his life, And I was just like, oh, Lord have mercy. This is crazy. So I went home and wrote this little ditty song. A song wasn't meant to be for anybody but a dozen people that would think it was funny. About me, you know, packing it up and then getting away from these mountains and going to the snow-topped ones and this, that, and the third. And it just stuck. And then, you know, the beauty of, you know, being the songwriter and being the arranger is that you look at Minnesota, it really has 3 lines in it, but it's a 6-7 minute song. So we had just had fun with it, because when we wrote the song, our musicianship wasn't what it is now. So the tricks and tools in the bag were limited. So we really had fun with that one and really arranging it, because it's really only 3 lines.
Is your buddy still in Minnesota?
No, he never went. He never went. He never went. The thrill is gone, as they say. I guess.
Well, you got a song.
Got a song.
I got a song
out
out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he loves to hear the story. I'll tell it when he's at our shows. I'd like to still tell it. And his chest puffs out a little bit. He likes it.
Yeah.
He likes it. And actually, Rojo's got a bunch of songs in there because he's been around me for, you know, over 20 years now. So he's been the witness and the reason for a lot of my tunes and a lot of the lyrics I come up with.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who all plays on Midnight River? Who's in the Mad Iguanas?
It's just the current lineup, which is John Trent, who is Daniel and I's childhood friend on drums, a great drummer, does a lot of stuff at the high school, around college now. And the laser beam, Henry Lazenby, who is a killer guitar player. He takes like some of the simplest stuff and makes it so musical. To me, it's just incredible. And then, of course, the only other member from 2009, my younger brother on vocals, bass, and writing, Daniel Burton. So
You and Daniel are both writing songs on the album?
Yes, yes. And the beauty of what, like, the way we approach this is that, like, you know, we don't arrange it as, you know, I tell you what to play and stuff like that. So really, if you look at it, John and Henry are writing almost as much as we are. I'm just simply coming with ideas. And you can hear, if you take away John and Henry and even Daniel and listen to what I'm doing on the album, it's really nothing. But those guys have, like, you know, made it look pretty and sound pretty by what they've written to it. Because Daniel's like had some ideas, like, you know, what I was doing in the original Center, Daniel, I still remember him telling me, like, hey, don't do that there, try this. And there's suggestions, but there's never really like, do this and don't do that, because where's the fun of that? Not music, you know. It's just like, it's why you play with the people you play with, is because they sound a certain way and come up with the ideas.
Is Henry's papa Roland?
Roland, yes.
Yeah, nice man.
Yes, Roland's a great guy.
Yeah.
How'd you start working with Henry? Start playing with him?
Just by being in the scene. I remember, like, Henry's been doing it longer than I have. So, like, I remember we worked together actually at Mac and Bob's in Salem back in high school. And I knew him then and knew that he liked the Eagles, which is just awful. Philadelphia Eagles, which is really a bad part of his thing. But we let that slide.
Yeah.
But I saw him at Mac and Bob's, real quiet, reserved dude, very, you know, just respectful, great hard worker. And then I'm out of B-Dubs drinking a bucket of beer and chicken wings, and I see this dude shredding in the corner. I look over, it's Henry Lazenby, and I'm like, wait, what? This quiet dude can play guitar like that? So I kind of sought him out. We did a lot of split bills with Groove Escape and stuff, and we just became really good friends, and loved his guitar playing then, and still to this day love it. So it's kind of a natural fit.
Incredible. Yeah. Want to play us a song off of Midnight River?
Sure.
All right.
Let's see. Lost I am, and shall remain, walking down the only road I know that would give me somewhere. So here I am, I'm all alone, invisible to most, so I'm told. In the end, well, you know, it's a little long, but not at all. that was the one about Curly, which you know that.
And man, I couldn't help but think when I was listening to the album, that's the final song on it, and it's about Curly, but I was thinking about another big loss you've had with Hannah, and I was hoping you might share a few words about her legacy. And
It's you know, it's a big thing in my life. It's a lot of who I am today. You know, I was with Hannah for almost 9 years, and to wake up beside somebody like that is just terrible. It's a huge loss. But you know, life moves on, and I've learned how precious life is and how fickle it really is, and how quickly it could be taken from us. And every day is a miracle. You could do so much in the course of a day, and I've learned that from her, and I live on her honor. You know, I've got the purple tattoos. All my gear is purple. That was her favorite color. But when, you know, she passed away, I was sober for a little bit when she passed, but then when she passed, I fell really bad off into the deep end of drinking. A half gallon wasn't enough for a day. I remember the last time, because I'd gotten a DUI during all this, and I couldn't get to the liquor store because I couldn't sober up enough to blow into the breathalyzer. So I'd have to find rides to the liquor store, and they don't have shopping carts at the liquor store. So I was carrying as many as I could and kicking one with each foot the last time I went to the liquor store. So, luckily, I've got a very, very strong support system around here, including family and a lot of people that aren't family. And I was on my second half gallon of the day at a gig, and Danielle Ward took the bottle away from me and shoved my mouth full of cannabis and didn't say much after that. Didn't say a whole lot. And I went to my tent, and I had just a moment where I was like, you know, I'm going to die if I don't stop. And a recovering addict friend of mine, who I won't mention because I'm pretty sure it's illegal, gave me enough diazepam, which I think is a really hardcore Valium, to get through DTs. Because I've been through DTs, and I didn't know how dangerous it was with alcohol, and I think heroin too is a hard one to kick by yourself. But I had enough diazepam to get me through 3 days, which was still hell. And as of August 17th, which would have been Hannah and I's 11-year anniversary, will be 2 years of me not having a drop of alcohol.
Wow.
No powder drugs.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Nothing, anything like that. I can't handle it. It's not for me. You know, I don't mind being around it or anything like that, but that's what Hannah gave me. She gave me my sobriety. She gave me my clarity. I play guitar nonstop because I found out that there is therapy in music. Mm-hmm. But losing her like that, it was very traumatic. And, you know, I also, to get me out of that, and this has nothing to do with music, I met one of the best people I've ever met in my life, which is my girlfriend now, Sydney. And not only was she understanding that I'd gone through a traumatic event, she was, like, very supportive of me, like, getting through my drug addictions and getting through, like, you know, being able to go in public around drugs and alcohol and be okay with it. She was a really big part of that. And it's its whole thing. And now it doesn't bother me. Do I miss it? Sure. But that missing it only lasts about 3 or 4 seconds. And then I remember everything I've got in the last 2 years. You know, I'm able to have the money to remodel my own home, and instead of, you know, spending it on chicken wings, cocaine, and liquor, I'm spending it on 2x4s and windows. You know, so it's a little bit different of a lifestyle. But when you lose somebody like that, and you start to really be aware of how important life is, like the things that are important seem a little bit less important. You realize how important life can really be. And I'm very grateful that Hannah gave me that. I miss her like crazy, but I think she's still around. You know, I'm not a very religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person, and I feel her presence around me constantly, and I hold on to that. And even if it's not there, it still helps me get through the day. So, but you know, but it's been a hard thing to deal with, and I would not have been able to get through it without my friends. You know, like my friend Lindsay. You know, she lost a boyfriend too, and little things like she brought me a picture that I look at every day, and you know, it's just like these little things that a whole community did for me, and it was amazing what Roanoke did for me to help me get through this stuff. So,
absolutely.
But it's made me a focused musician, and I'll tell you, I went from being like, you know, you can do too much of anything. You can walk too much. You can drink too much water. You can have too much, but you cannot play too much music. You
I
can't.
never heard that. That's good.
You're trying right
Yeah,
now.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I play music all day long or whatever. I'm working at it, and like you can't play too much music. So when you have a bad day, if you can get in and find your muse and find your art and find what you do, it might be yard work, it might be whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's stuff out there that you can get through it all. You don't have to rely on substances and alcohol and all that crap.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
that's what I've learned from it. It's made me the man I am today.
Well, good for you.
Hannah Lawson. So it's been a weird road, hard road, but I feel like I see a little daylight in it, and I live in her honor every day. You know, and I'm still close to their family and stuff, and just it's all positive thoughts at this point.
Yeah.
I try to be.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing,
When
despite
you're not-
the pain.
When you're not practicing or playing or finding your muse, is there anybody you like to listen to? That's
Yeah,
maybe a little different. Or?
I'll tell you what I've been listening to nonstop, and I'm like super embarrassed that I didn't get into them before.
The Eagles.
Oh, I love the Eagles. No, I used to not like the Eagles. I love them.
Just kidding.
I'd like to go see them here. I'm supposed to be getting tickets.
Yeah. Yeah. I see them coming. I'm gonna try to go.
Yeah,
too.
it's expensive. But Turquoise. I don't know if you guys have heard of Turquoise.
No.
They're a power funk band, but like typically like funk music to me has always been associated with like some kind of goofy lyrics, you know, like not like a lot of depth in lyrics. It's kind of like booty shaking stuff. With Turquoise, man, it's every album has got this depth in its lyrics talking about like real life things, anxiety, and songs about moments, not just songs about like, you know, a silly thing. Like I've been listening to a lot of Turquoise, a lot, and I've just been overindulged in it, like dissecting the arrangements, like having 9 people in a band, but sometimes you only hear 3 of them.
Whoa.
And that's like takes us discipline and dynamics to have all these big guns on stage, and when they use it all, it's just like this big moving force that you can feel in your chest. But then when it's split up and broken down, you can feel the sweet spots of the song and the music and stuff.
Are they a regional or national act?
I think they're a pretty national act. They just broke up, which is the sad part about it. They had some big breakup like a year ago after they played at Floyd Fest. This is where I discovered them. Thank God for Floyd Fest. They did the Talking Heads thing and with Adrian Belew and all that stuff, and then they played their stuff too. And I was like, I mean, it takes a lot for my 300-pound rear end to go walk and buy a T-shirt. I went and bought a T-shirt. I was like, I didn't want to forget who they were.
Yeah.
I was blown away by the bass player was just insanely good. I was sitting there watching. I was just like, I was mesmerized for 2 hours, and I went home and just worked my way backwards with their Digitonium album, and it just
They played Talking Heads stuff.
They did a Talking Heads thing with 2 of the original members, and it was like note for note, like the way it was intended to be played.
Yeah,
and they got the backup singers, they got the horns, they got like multi instrumentalists up there.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty wild to watch. Like it's inspiring to like hear something again. Like with funk and dance music, it's always kind of goofy with the lyric content. These guys, it's not goofy. It's like really cool, deep stuff, and it's like I get into it really a lot. And so
All right, very good.
that's the one I've been listening to a lot. And the Eagles.
Yeah, I think Raleigh. They're gonna be in.
It's Raleigh and Charlotte. I think.
Right, and that's what and we know as soon as they go on sale.
Yeah, I think they did some pre-sales already or something. I don't know. I'll let my brother Turner get my tickets. He's a ticket Jedi.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
So here I am. I'm all alone. Invisible to most, so I'm told. In the end, well, you know, it's been a long but not
This concludes part 1 of the Foster Burton interview. Next week, part 2.